Olaf Scholz of Germany's centre-left Social Democrats is about to become the country's 9th post-war federal chancellor. Members of the lower house of the German parliament, this is the scene live inside the parliament, are voting to confirm his appointment. And a bit later on, Mr. Scholz is expected to address the Bundestag to set out his plans for the next 4 years. This report from our correspondent in Berlin, Jenny Hill.
Introducing Germany's new government. The Traffic Light Coalition, named for the colours of its parties. The Social Democrats, who champion fair society. The Free Democrats, who champion business and industry. And the Greens, who, well, the clue's in the name, champion the environment. After 16 years, the Merkel era is over. And the age of Olaf Scholz begins. So what's his vision for Germany? It's greener. By 2030, his coalition wants to phase out coal, have renewables provide 80% of the country's power, and put 15 million electric cars on the roads. They promise big social change too, to make it easier for foreigners to come and settle, to raise the minimum wage and lower the voting age to 16. So it's all change politically, and if the new government has its way, German society will shift too, become fairer, more liberal, so easier access to welfare, the legalisation of cannabis. But how different will Germany really look from the outside? What does all this mean for Europe and the rest of the world? They've talked tough on Russia and China, but it's by no means certain policy will shift. Germany will continue to put Europe first and champion multilateralism. So who are the new faces of German politics? At the top, Social Democrat Chancellor Olaf Scholz. His foreign minister is the Green politician Annalena Baerbock. Also from the Greens, Robert Habeck, who is heading up a so-called super ministry, economy and climate. But the man who will hold the purse strings and quite a lot of the power is Free Democrat leader Christian Lindner. These parties have very different positions, very different visions for Germany. Some consider it a miracle they've managed to agree to form a government. Now they have to hold it together. And their plans are expensive, with some experts wondering how on earth they're going to pay for it all. But that's the least of their troubles. Germany's experiencing an aggressive fourth corona wave. Too few Germans are vaccinated, and intensive care units are under pressure. The new government's barely begun. Already, it's in crisis.
That report from Jenny Hill in Berlin, and there in Berlin as well, the Bundestag, as the members of the lower house of the German parliament vote to confirm the appointment of Olaf Scholz, the Social Democrat, who is about to take over as Germany's new chancellor, replacing Angela Merkel after, as Jenny mentioned, 16 years in power. And just before the vote started, one detail to mention, the Speaker, Bärbel Baas, welcomed Mrs Merkel in the chamber. We saw her sitting there a little earlier, and the legislators gave the outgoing Chancellor a standing ovation. We will be back to Berlin for more on that shortly.